we're all isolating a little bit, and I'm living in a house. As you know, I think most of you have been here. And hey, James Johnson, I'm living in a house with three other fellas, and we in conversation today we just decided that the main theme of our house is that we're all on a spiritual path, and we're that's what we talk about all the time. That really is, we're on a spiritual path. All four of us are on a spiritual path, and we just kind of realized that we're living in a community house, and that a community house that's on a spiritual path would almost be like a commune. So here we are in Signal Hill. We have a commune, and maybe it's a little ashram in Signal Hill. So and because people only come here generally to do community, but they also come to do because we're helping people on the spiritual path. So it's kind of neat that we're here and living together, all seekers on the spiritual path. But I can't imagine actually not living in community. I love living in community, and especially right now when so many people are in their homes, literally by themselves, and which is for some might be difficult, but here we are. There's Derek and Nathaniel and Trevor and myself, and all on this very similar path of awakening. Having said that, we're pretty isolated here, although sometimes people drop by for to talk about recovery and that kind of stuff. So we have a little bit of traffic, but very little. We're being very careful. I mean, everybody is aware of the situation that we're in, and I just what came up today is that on hey Shane, on Facebook and social media, there's all kinds of reaching out to kind of explain what's happening. Blame it on us in a way, some idea that we have created this, and that type of thinking is very old. It's very old. It's actually. I had a story that I wanted to tell you that last year, 2 years ago, when I was in Bali quite a bit, and there was a volcano cooking and spewing and rocks and no real lava, but lots and lots of ash and all that kind of stuff. And the story came out about how many people had died in 1972. So that's not that long ago, 1972, in Bali, when there had been the last big volcano and a huge eruption. And they had died, many of them, because they were going to the volcano to offer offerings, to appease the volcano for whatever wrong they thought they had done. There must be a cause, we must be to blame, or somebody's to blame. Religion often just caters to the fact that when we're in our ego, we see everything is, right or wrong, or good or bad. We're going to get something or we're going to lose something. And that's the level that a lot of times we're living at. And so most of us don't know that. Like, we just don't know that. We're not aware enough to know that that's the case. I have another example. And this one's a little horrific, but it's another example of there was this country in at one time that was going through, this is several years ago, maybe even 80 some years ago, was going through financial difficulties. And the leader of that country basically told the people of the country that their difficulties was were because of a certain group of people in their country, and everybody believed him or wanted to believe him because they had to blame somebody, and so they blamed this group of people, and some millions of those people were assassinated, were exterminated, were killed, and so the mind is susceptible to story. It will believe what you tell it. So we have to, somehow keep an eye on things in here, because, it just wants to know. It's a meaning-making machine, and then it wants to blame. And so watch. The truth is we don't know anything. Anybody can come along and make up any story and say that this is what's happening and this is where it's taking us, and this is, and it's all subjective. Okay, so now I have my story I'm going to tell you. So now that you know that this is what happens, here's the story that I think that could be here for you and me. We could surrender. We see that the mind actually keeps us from living in our full potential, because the mind comes from fear. The mind generally comes from fear. It's based, that's our conditioning. There's not enough, that we're not going to get enough, that we're going to lose our stuff, or somebody's going to like us, or they're not going to like us, we're going to have, their wife's going to stay or she's going to leave, the kids are going to grow up and be successful, somebody could get sick. I mean, the mind makes up stuff. So if we can see that this event that's happening globally shakes us up. It's a shaker. It's like, oh my gosh, everything we thought was true, all our conditioning has just been shattered. So what if we make an awareness that we can let go of our mind? The mind is not you. It's just a thinking thing. It's like your body. Are you your body? No, your body is yours. Who are you if the body is yours? Your mind is yours, but who are you if your mind is yours? Your thoughts are thoughts of the mind. I guess you could say they're yours, but they're not really yours. They're just thoughts. We have very little control over them. They just roll. Okay? So your home, isn't you. It might have been yours. Probably won't be soon. Just kidding. Your job, right? You were not your job. You're not an engineer. You may be, mastered engineering, and we could call you an engineer, but that's not really who you are. You're not a doctor. You do doctoring, but you're not really a doctor. That's just what we call you. You're a school teacher. No, you're not. So this is the time to surrender. And there's a big difference between giving up, with apathy. And I mean, some of that's going to happen over this next little while, because people are going to be shattered and not know which way to look. So sometimes they'll want to blame. We're going to go through some grief. We're going to go through some blame. We're going to go through some questioning to everything. Is in accepting what's happening in each moment and dropping into our inner world through meditation. Yeah. And what happens in the inner world? We connect with Source, God, universal intelligence. Yes, not some belief, not some story, but really connect. Watch the thoughts, you guys. Just watch them, and recognize that they're not us, and we can let them go. Living from ego, fear is kind of always there. Because we have no power. We're empty when we're in the ego mind. And the ego mind's always scrambling to tell us that it's got control. So if we're living in fear, and which could be heightened by the current situation, we just stop and breathe and drop inside. And if a big catastrophic snowstorm comes, are we going to blame ourselves? No. So We might be a little upset if we didn't have enough snowplows, but so the same thing. We're here. This is what is. Breathe into it. And yes, do we have to look after the practical? There is practical, but none of it has to be in fear. None of it has to be with a struggle. But it's interesting that my experience now is that I can't think my way to that. It's nice to know all of this, but I can't think my way to it. I've discovered that I have to drop into. I can't even drop into the process of surrendering over and over again, of surrendering to what is, even surrendering to the fact that we don't even know what is, can allow us to drop into this space of not knowing, this space of surrender. If you find yourself in resistance, and you'd like to find a way out of this, yes, meditating over a period of time can help, but there's some great teachers on the planet that we can spend time with. You have the time right now to do this. Mooji, Mooji. Mooji just finished like 4 weeks of satsang in India, and like his videos on YouTube, there's so many, and he has his own channel and his own website, and there's just so many videos. Just watch, just feel the exchange that he has with the people and what happens and how they drop into this space of nothing, and that doesn't mean that life doesn't happen. You don't dropping into that non-resistant open space isn't. We still know what to do when things need to be done. It's still life. We can live in bliss there. Alan Watts, listen to Alan. He just says it, 100 different ways, and as well Mooji does as well. So many ways that we can relate to. The other guy I was thinking, Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart, laid it out so well. Awakening. If you're here and you're watching, you're interested in awakening. You're being called. I spent years trying to learn how to live, and it didn't work. It didn't work. And years of trying to master life. And the only thing, and I can't even call it a thing, is this place of this expanded place of that can't really be described, but it's just right there. It's so close. Hi, Doug. It's so close. There is no distance between you and that space. But what happens is that all of the thinking, all of our ideas, all of our conditioning, all of our fears, all keep us just from going there. And it's just right there. And I had a friend years ago, Paul Lowe, and Paul used to say, you can't find it by looking for it. But you won't find it if you don't look for it.